All right, so far, I'm just now beginning to speak, right? So far, we've been doing future tense, right? And today we're gonna work on conditional tense, which is really easy. Hopefully we'll have time to do an exercise on those. And then we're gonna get into some situations and a paper 2 question, hopefully, right? Anybody, if you have any requests, of course, at any point you could say. Also, from next Sunday, Sunday come in, from this Sunday, I'm available to start orals practice if anybody would like. Starting at 3 p.m. and ending at 6 p.m. Right? A 20-minute slot. More time if we have fewer signups and you're interested in more time, right? It just depends, right? So you could let me know if you're interested in a particular particular time slot. You could let me know what that is, and I'll put your name down for it, right? During the course of class. Okay, so that said, let's take a look at what is on the screen. And that is the conditional tense, right? Now, what is the conditional tense? In English, this is the tense of would, right? So I would buy a swimming pool if I were rich, or if I win the lottery, or if I had the money, right? So I've given you a condition. And so this is the thing I would do, dependence on the condition. So we have conditional tense, would, right? This word rich is actually subjunctive in English. We don't use it often, right? All right. Now, there is another time in English that we say would. I would go to school every day when I was younger, right? In English, we tend to sometimes use would as what in Spanish they would use it for as the imperfect tense, right? So we are concerned with things that didn't happen yet, that could happen given the right circumstances, or might never happen because the circumstances will never materialize, right? So just be aware of that. So I'm going to erase this one. Okay, now it's very similar to the future tense in that the stem is the same infinitive, right? So over here we have the endings. We'll look at a little conversation here first, then go across to the right-hand side. So the conditional endings are ia, so I accent A, ias, I accent AS, ia, I accent A, iamos, I accent AMOS, and ian, I accent AN, right? And the stem, just like with the infinitive, just like with the future, is the infinitive, right? All right. So if we take hablar again, right? Yo hablaría. I would speak if I had something to say, perhaps, right? Comer, tú comerías. You would eat if there was food, if there were food. Mirar, ella usted miraría. They would look. He, she, or it, or you formal would look, right? Nosotros, let's take vivir. Viviríamos. We would live, perhaps in Spain if we had a chance. Ellos, ellas, ustedes, bailarían. They would dance if there were music, or if they like the music, right? Now, the other thing of note on this slide is this list down here of stems that you took down when we did future tense last week, right? And it's the same, all these stems that are irregular for future are also irregular for conditional, right? So caber, we would say cabria, cabras, cabra, I'm sorry, cabría, cabrías, cabría, cabríamos, cabrían, etc. Decir, diría, dirías, diría, diríamos, dirían. So the same stems. So same irregular stems as future, right? Any questions? Anything confusing? Anything you think I left out? Right, so the next thing we're going to go through is the uses, right? So uses of the conditional, there are about 3 that we're going to look at in a little more detail, right? So the first one was in the examples in English that I gave you, hypothetical situations. So if the situation is not real, it doesn't exist, but it could under certain circumstances or conditions, right? Like if we win the lottery, or if it, what do we have here? If I had money, if I studied more, if it rains, those are the conditions, right? We didn't do it. We're saying if we had done it, then we would use the conditional to say what we would do, right? So would not. So viajaría, sacaría, no saldríamos, right? All right, now note that the first verb might look a little strange. The first verb looks strange to us. So these, which you are not expected to use, but you are expected to recognize, imperfect subjunctive, right? All right, so si tuviera dinero, if I had money, I don't have any money, so I need subjunctive to express if I had money. Viajaría por el mundo. I would travel the world, throughout the world, right? Si estudiara más, if I studied more, sacaría mejores notas. I would get better grades. Si, better marks, right? Si lloviera, if it rained, no saldríamos de casa. We wouldn't leave the house. Now, these could also be in present tense. This last one especially would sound just fine in present tense. And we would still use conditional. I mean, present subjunctive tense, present subjunctive mood, not present indicative tense, right? All right, any questions? You could choose 1 or 2 examples, and you can, of course, shorten the note, right? But what we're saying is that when we're talking about these situations that are not real, we often see it with the subjunctive. And in these examples, the subjunctive is in front of it, but in the example I gave you before on the slide, the subjunctive came after it. So I would buy a swimming pool if I won the lottery, if I were to win the lottery, if I were rich. I can't remember exactly what I wrote, but whether the if part is in front or behind, once the if part is part of the sentence, conditional. Is when we are asking politely if somebody could help us with something, right? So if we're making a polite request, this is what we do. So could you pass me the salt? This is a very useful expression for situations, right? Podría pasarme la sal, por favor. So obviously the could you is in conditional. I've misplaced my little writing pen here, right? And another way to say it is, would you be able to pass me the salt, right? Right? So the conditional is podría. All right. You want to ask somebody to politely help you? would you help me with this problem? ¿Me ayudarías con este problema? Right? Would you help me? ¿Estarías interesado? Would you be interested? Right? So polite inquiries, polite requests. Right, so I'm just gonna say this one more time for the recording. By the time I'm done going through it again, you all will have been finished with the note, right? So we use the conditional when we're talking about something we said would happen in the future, but it was in the past, right? So and I drew this cool little comic strip here to talk about how on the 15th of January, I said to myself, the flower is going to bloom next week. And then the 20th of January, the flower bloomed. And then I look back on it today and I say, I told you the flower would have bloomed on the next week or this week, right? So that would have is in the conditional. He said he would come to the party. Vendría. I thought we would win the game. Ganaríamos. We believe they would go on vacation. Irían. Right? Look at it. It takes us 3 words to convey what is said with this one form of the verb, right? Complete the sentences with the verb that is given in either the future or the conditional tense, right? So completa las oraciones con el verbo indicado en el futuro o condicional según corresponda, according to what makes sense, right? Mis planes para el futuro. Okay, so you're reading through, you're choosing whether to put the verb in future or conditional, right? To make this useful to you and still benefit from the vocabulary, what you can do is please note any new vocab, new to you, right? And then also write the answers, right? I think it's 9, there are 9 spaces altogether. All right. Cuando terminé la escuela, estoy seguro de que something a muchos países. If there are any unfamiliar words, you could ask me, but I'm going to take it for granted you'll be able to figure it out. And we can probably do the whole paragraph at the same time, unless you tell me otherwise, right? Primero, mis amigos y yo, something, explorar is the verb, Europa, porque siempre hemos querido visitar Francia, Italia, y España. So this is a nice passage too for if you get the orals question, what are your plans? ¿Cuáles son tus planes para el futuro? Right? You could draw from this. Right. So take a look at it. Tell me what your answers are for 1 and 2. All right, so just try with the answers, right? They don't have to be right. We could discuss why is one thing and the other. So when I finish school, I am sure that I will travel to many countries, right? So it's estoy, so we know it's the yo form. Viajaré, right? Primero, mis amigos y yo, so now it's the nosotros form. First, we will explore Europe. Exploraremos. Right? If you're not sure, let me know, right? About why something is the answer, let me know. Next one. Si tuvieras, so here is a clue. What should be coming next? Más tiempo. También something, un curso de fotografía. Now, if I recall correctly, hacer has an irregular stem, right? Para capturar los paisajes. Mis padres dicen que me something. All right. En todo lo que decide hacer. Any words you're unfamiliar with, you could ask. All right, 30 seconds, send me your answer. Right. So, si tuviera más tiempo también, no, what does it tuviera mean? If I had, right? If I were to have more time. So I do, that's the condition. So this tells us the next thing we use has to be conditional tense, right? So haría, I would do a photography course to capture the countries, the countrysides, right? So haría. Mis padres dicen que, so my parents say that, so now it's back to present tense, so we don't need the condition anymore, right? So they will support me. Apoyaré, right? En todo lo que decida hacer. In all that I decide, in all that I might decide to do. Yeah, all right. En el futuro, sé que I know that. Something with work, en algo que me apasione. Si pudiera, so here again is a clue. If I could, so subjunctive, choose, elegir, whichever profession, whichever job, yo something médico, right? So this is a clue that we will need subjunctive, not subjunctive, this is the subjunctive, it's a clue we will need conditional, right? Pero sé que también, I know that also, something you would need to study a lot to succeed at it, right? All right, so try the answers. There are 3 this time in the next paragraph. I'm giving everybody 2 minutes. Good catch. Thank you, Psyche. Right, so this number 4, I made a mistake. The parents are doing the supporting, so it's ellos, ellas, ustedes, right? Apoyarán. Thank you. Right? I had the yo form, but we need the third person plural. All right, so en el futuro, sé que I will work in something that I'm passionate about, right? So, trabajaré, right? En algo que me apasione. Si pudiera elegir cualquier profesión, I would be, because if I could choose, I would be, sería médico. I would be a doctor. Pero sé que también, so I know also, so now we're back to present tense, so no more conditional. I wonder. I think this sentence, possibly you could use either one, you know. What do you all think? Sé que también necesitaré, right? So if the meaning you're trying to convey is, I will need, but I know I would be a doctor, but I know I will need to study hard in order to get through with that, right? Then you're saying it's in your power. It could it could happen, so it's likely to happen. Future tense. But if you're saying, In order for me to be able to pursue medicine, I would have to study a lot. I feel like this question could take both. The meanings would be slightly different. All right, let's look at the last paragraph. Además, mis amigos y yo hablamos de que algún día, so my friends and I talk about someday, we will put together un proyecto para ayudar a las personas necesitadas, right? To help necesitadas, to help people in need. Estoy seguro de que el futuro, something, muchas oportunidades interesantes. So what are we going to do about 8 and 9? How firm is the conversation for 8? Is it definitely going to happen? Or is it that we could, or we would like to? Okay, so let's say for sure we think we will do it. It's in our power. It's likely to happen. Organizaremos, right? And then en el futuro. But I think if you put conditional here, I would give you correct, huh? If you told me organizaríamos. Because it's like you're saying we would like to organize a project. All right, traer the future, so traerá muchas oportunidades interesantes, right? All right, guys, please take some expressions from here that you could use if asked. ¿Cuáles son tus planes para el futuro? And this is a nice thing to say, don't you think, that whatever job I work in, or I'll be passionate about it, right? ¿Cuáles son tus planes para el futuro? Right? And of course, you could say whatever job you would like to be. Quería ser, whatever. All right, so just an overall reminder, in order to convey would in relation to the verb, so I would run, I would sit, I would eat, I would drink, I would laugh, I would sleep. We take the infinitive, that's the conditional tense, right? We take the infinitive. That means the AR, ER, IR form of the verb. We are not taking the first person. We are not striking off the ending and taking what's left. We are taking the infinitive form of the verb, right? No change. And then we add for yo, we add ia. For tú, we add ias. For él, ella, usted, we add ia. For nosotros, íamos. For ellos, ellas, ustedes, ian. Look at this wonderful paper 3, right? So home and these are this particular year, these are the sections that came: home and family for oral questions, sports and recreation, daily routine, travel, right? 4 out of the 6 will come. All right, and then there's the passages. You'll be given a passage to read beforehand, to prepare beforehand for a few minutes. And then you'll be given situations, right? And these also vary. So everybody will not get the same paper. All right, so let's try. You could head up 2009 paper 3, June 2009 paper 3. Right? I'm going to work on the first one. You have won a prize in an essay competition. What do you say to express your joy? And B, what do you explain to your friend? What vocabulary do we want to know? Do we know the verb for to win? Do we know the verb for competition? Do we know the verb for essay? The word for essay? Come guys, these are serious questions. If you tell me no, I'll tell you what it is. But if you don't tell me, if you don't say anything, I'll assume you know, right? All right, so I'm gonna write some vocab on the side just as a precaution, right? Because everybody is shy all of us. And ganar, to win. Concurso, competition, right? Ensayo, essay, right? All right, so part A we're answering first, right? And we have a few options, but generally they will take this format. Okay. Okay, so this is Zaria's answer, right? Que suerte. Right. So if you know the word for marvelous, then you know the answer for A. Because you just put it like this. You say que maravilloso. Okay, and you're spelling one matter because this is said to the examiner. Que bueno. Que bien. Right? Whether you use bueno or bien, one is an adjective, one is an adverb, but this situation is ambiguous because either you mean how well done or how good meaning the action or how good meaning the price. So either one is fine, right? Probably que bien, you might hear more. So I'm gonna take this out. So any of these would work, right? All right. The next thing, what do you explain to your friend? Well, what you have to tell your friend, I won a prize. I won an essay writing competition. I won actually they didn't put in the word writing. See how they simplified it for you? I won an essay competition. I won a prize. Premium. I forgot to give you that verb. Well, not noun, sorry. Okay, so tell me, how do I say I won? Ganar is the infinitive. How do I say I won? Gane, right. Right. Okay, so the most basic thing we could say is gane, like just I won, right? What did we win? And how do we say essay competition? Well, un premio de, how do we say essay competition? I'll put Dale of the, okay, so in English, we put the adjective essay, in this case, essay, although it's a noun, is being used as an adjective to tell you what kind of competition, right? In Spanish, we do the reverse. So we say of the competition of essay. So del concurso de ensayo, right? If it's a painting competition, concurso de pintado, concurso de pintar. If it's a, what other kind of competition could we have? I don't know, right? All right. So instead of gane, you have options. If you know the perfect tense, you could say he ganado, un premio, etc., right? Or another lovely expression to use is acabar de. To say I have just one, I just won. So you could say acabo de ganar un premio, blah, 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 right? And the grammar rule here is acabar de plus the infinitive means to have just something. Now, these situations are going to repeat. So please make sure you note the answer. All right, I'm going to give people time to write, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break here, right? So let me know when you're done writing, whatever you need to. Your class is planning a special activity for a teacher who's retiring. What activity do you suggest? This is a great place to use conditional tense because you're saying we could. What, but in English, like if you had a teacher who was retiring, what would you do for them? Okay, we can have a party. All right. How do we have a party? Yes, there would be party, right? Everybody is clear on that. What verb would we use to say have a party? Or to say to plan a party. You don't have to say literally to have a party. Use what you know. We could plan a party. Okay, or we could tener una fiesta, right? All right. So any other suggestions besides party? So we could say, but there are two ways to phrase this, right? Porque, sorry, this is two words. No tener, no tenemos una fiesta para ella, right? So why not? Porque no is a standard way to say why not, right? All right. We could have a party, or let's use tener and put it in conditional tense for me. Remember, it has an irregular stem. Right. So tendríamos, guys, una fiesta, right? What else could we say? If we use planear, planearíamos una fiesta, right? What else? We could say we could buy her a gift. Compraríamos. O por qué no compramos un regalo para ella, right? The gift is going to her, it's destined for her, so we use para. Okay, all of these are options. What reason do you give? You could say she will enjoy herself a lot. Now, depending on what you said, you could also say things like it's not very expensive. It's very fun. Sería, it would be enjoyable. Muy divertido. Right? If we're talking about the party, we can make divertido into divertida, right? So it would be very fun. Or it will be será, right? If you know any other verb, that could fit in here. Like you could say she's passionate about parties. You could say I know the perfect gift. Say el regalo perfecto, right? Say el regalo perfecto. Just now we saw the verb me apasione, right? Okay, great. Le encanta bailar. Yes, use what you know. She likes to dance, yes. Le gusta la música if you want to plan a party, or le gusta los regalos. Le gustan los regalos. A ella le gustan los regalos, right? She likes gifts. All right. Next one. Your parents have returned home after spending an anniversary overseas. What does your mother say to you upon her return? What comment does your father make? There's a wide range of things they could say here. Right, here are some very good answers from Psyche, right? Fue una experiencia increíble. Was an incredible experience. Sí, todo fue perfecto, right? You know what else your mom could say? Hola, mi hijo, right? ¿Cómo estás? Right? She could just say hello, how are you? I think y'all are overthinking these. Put yourself in the situation. What are some things you could say? What would your father say? He might say, I have a gift for you. Tengo un regalo para ti. Right? He might say, can you help me carry the bags? Puedes ayudarme? Right? Can you help me? What else could he say? Anything else? They might say, we missed you. He might say, we missed you. So nosotros te extrañemos. Right? As well as they could make a comment on their vacation. All right. You are about to board a bus, but you are not sure if it is going in your direction. What do you ask the bus driver? How do we say, where is this bus going? there used to be a really popular textbook with this question in the title. So we're asking where is something going? ¿A dónde va este autobús? And then he could reply, no question mark. Now you could also word it differently, and you could say va, you could say usted. You're asking the bus driver, right? Usted va al wherever you want to go. Centro comercial. Are you going to the mall? Are you going to the hospital? Are you going to the plaza? Are you going to the square? Wherever you want to go, right? And then he might reply whatever you want him to reply, right? So lo siento, no, no voy por ahí. I'm not going that way. Right? Or he might say, sí, voy al centro comercial. Right? All right, I want to clear away this writing, so anything you need to write down, make sure you have it. In a minute, it will be gone, right? All right, last one. Your neighbor's dog has disappeared for a few days. What does he or she ask you? Well, they must ask you, have you seen my dog? Or they might say, do you know where my dog is? So how do we ask them, or did you see my dog? How do we ask someone, did you see my dog? The verb to see is where. Great. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so we have two possible answers. Has visto a mi perro, right? Or vi viste, two form, right? Viste a mi perro. Right. And what do you offer to do? So you're not answering them. You're not answering the question, sorry. You're not saying yes, no, I didn't see dog. But you're gonna obviously offer to help find the dog, right? So puedo buscar, I can look for el perro, and that could be all. Or if you want to say with you, you would say contigo, right? Any other answer anybody wants you to try out, you can put in the chat. So if you want to say how long you've been studying Spanish for instance, estudio español. We use the expression desde hace, and you put the time. So if you want to say 4 years, 4 años, 5 years, 5 años, 2 years, 2 años, whatever, right? All right. Now, what has she been studying? She's been studying music, right? right? But also the question I'm looking back now, it says practicing. So practico, because we're writing as her, right? Desde hace, and the amount of time you think she should have been practicing, right? Okay, what could be a scenario for how she came to enter the competition? What are some ways we could decide to enter a competition? We could see something on Facebook. We could hear about it from a teacher, right? She was encouraged to enter. Yeah, we could. The competition could have been somebody could have come to school and addressed these students about it, right? So pick the way that you think you would be able to discuss. To me, I think it would be easiest to say, I saw the competition on Facebook or something, right? Or I saw it in the news, on the TV, in the papers. All right. What happened? Oh, sorry. What challenges she faced in her preparations? What are some challenges you think she would have to face or could face? So for this one, you have to decide if it's school, social media, teacher told her. Okay, discouragement could be something like nobody thought she would win. Now, if you were supposed to, at this point in your life, enter a competition, a major music competition or a major competition for anything that is your hobby, what would be the troubles you would face, the stress you would face? Wouldn't one issue be time management and making sure you balance stuff in school? Right, good. Trying to get time to practice and all the things you have to balance with school. Right, good. Right, so the time, yes, okay. All right. On the day of the competition, what do you think might be some things that happened? Getting nervous, right? Nerves. Very good. Right. What else do you know how to describe? You could talk about perhaps there was a lot of traffic and she thought that she was going to be late. Um, because you could just say había mucho tráfico y pensaba. Okay, so those are easy words to use, right? That we know. How did she feel and how did she react when she heard the results? She thought that she'd lose, yes, sure. So you could use words like we just used for the first situation we looked at, marvelous. You could talk about being, it could be incredible, right? It could be unbelievable. How do you think she would feel? Overwhelmed with joy, sure. And she would also feel proud, right? Yeah, okay. If you know how to say relieved, you could say relieved if it fits with the story you've been telling, right? All right. Um, everybody has noted from these little jottings what they need to. We could scroll down a bit. Let's look at what the lines of dialogue are that they've given you, right? And let's make sure we understand what is being asked. Okay, so hola Luisa, gracias por haberme permitido hablar contigo, right? So thank you for having permitted me to speak to you. congratulations on winning a competition so important, like La Voz. Oh, look what it is. It's a voice. ¿Cómo fue la experiencia? Right? How was the experience? Un desafío, ¿por qué lo dices? Ah, look at this. Some discouragement. Eres una de nuestras mejores cantantes. You're one of our best singers. Right? Me imagino que había muchas personas compitiendo también, como dice. So I imagine that there were many people competing also, like you say. Pero how many years have you sung? So now here is where we would use the desde hace, and we're realizing it's not playing an instrument, it's singing, right? Tanto tiempo y has estado en tantos lugares. So much time. And you have been to so many places. So up here we have to put places, which we didn't know from the initial plan. ¿Y te gustaba cantar en un coro? Oh, sorry, it's a question. Do you like to sing in a chorus? Right? Claro que, of course, you will have to practice for many hours. ¿Cómo entraste en el concursos? How did you enter the competition? Qué bueno, y como solista también, and as a soloist as well. I know they asked more about the desafío. Can you say more? Can you explain more? Tell me what happened in the day of the competition. And how did you feel hearing that you won? I would feel the same, but thank you, Luisa. All right. So we have to be aware of the cues when we're writing a dialogue to make sure we're responding to everything that we're being asked for, right? Okay, so a reminder of where you can get the paper from to just go through and plan out your dialogue. And if you want to take a try on your own, right? Here is the link. cxcpastpapers.org/CSEC Spanish past papers. I guess there will be other subjects too, right? And I will send this back in the chat. This is not what we're looking at here. Oh boy. Right, so you can take a look at it, prepare. The first thing we're starting with next week is the dialogue. If you feel like it's too intimidating to write, just make sure you read over the cues and so we could follow along with what is going on, right? All right, so if we have no more questions, we'll wrap up here. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody.